Hi everybody, welcome to Ocean Yummy's channel. So today I'm gonna do a variety of things that is going on out there. Okay. Now I did line up the Korea's martial law thing because Korea was under martial law just the other day. Let me try find it actually. Korea was under martial law just the other day. I don't know whether it's still in there. Oh, it looks like it's still going on. I can find a recent one.
South Korea latest, President faces impeachment, as martial law chaos a wake-up call for West. The South Korean president faces impeachment proceedings and calls to resign after his shock declaration of martial law initiated a political crisis. Yoon Suk-yeol claimed the law was needed to guard against North Korea's communist forces, but the move was seen as political. Key points. 1. South Korean MPs have begun impeachment proceedings after the president's shock declaration of martial law unleashed a political crisis. View post. 2. President Yoon was forced to backtrack last night after clashes between protesters and soldiers and a rushed vote by MPs to block the order. 3. Protesters are rallying in Seoul calling him to step down. View post. 4. The president had claimed martial law was needed to guard against pro-North Korea forces, but analysts say move was in response to political pressure. 5. Analysis, South Korea is in political limbo, more instability is likely. View post. 6. Crisis is wake-up call for West. View post. 7. Explained, who is Yoon? View post. What happens next? View post. 8. Live reporting by Mark Wyatt. That's it from our live coverage now. We're now closing this live blog after an eventful 24 hours in South Korea. Yesterday, the nation, and the world, was left in shock when the country's president, Yoon Suk-yeol, declared martial law, warning of a threat from shameless pro-North Korean anti-state forces. Politicians quickly rushed to the National Assembly in a bid to overturn the decision. Despite some being blocked by police, around 190 out of the 300 members of parliament managed to vote and block the martial law declaration. Eventually, Yoon announced he would respect the parliament's vote and lift martial law. Today, opposition politicians put forward a motion to impeach Yoon, with the motion set to be debated before going to a vote in the coming days. Blinken, any political disagreements need to be resolved peacefully. Antony Blinken says the decision of Yoon Suk-yeol to withdraw South Korea's martial law order was welcome. Speaking at a NATO press conference in Brussels, the U.S. State Secretary said Korea is one of America's closest partners. We're obviously watching the developments very closely. This is one of our closest partners and allies around the world, he said. We welcome President Yoon's statement withdrawing the martial law order. And there was a unanimous vote in the National Assembly to reject the decision. And he followed up on that. In our judgment, any political disagreements need to be resolved peacefully and in accordance with the rule of law. Korea's been an extraordinary story, an extraordinary success story in the past few decades, he added. Politician grapples with soldiers gunned during martial law protest. Among the scenes in Seoul last night, one moment outside the National Assembly quickly went viral on social media. Tens of millions of people have watched a clip of Ahngwi Ri-yeong, a news anchor turned politician, who was filmed grappling with a soldier during the unrest. She is even seen grabbing the barrel of the soldier's rifle, yelling, "Aren't you ashamed of yourselves?
Damn.
Watch, what might happen next." Impeachment proceedings have begun against South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol after his martial law declaration backfired. But what happens next? We hear the opinion of defense and security analyst Michael Clark, who discusses how South Korea's relationship with the U.S. could now change. Political turmoil knocks millions off Samsung, Hyundai, and Kia. By Sarah Toff McGuire, business and economics reporter. The political turbulence in South Korea hasn't just shaken civilians and legislators but markets as well. Many household brands took a hit to their share price, with South Korea's benchmark stock market index, the KOSPI, down nearly 1.45% since its president implemented martial law on Tuesday afternoon. Major international businesses such as Samsung Electronics, LG, Hyundai, and Kia make up the index. They've seen their market value fall by millions. Samsung's share price is down 0.93% since Tuesday afternoon. LG's fell 1.5%, with Hyundai seeing a 2.56% drop since the turbulence began. Meanwhile, Kia stock was up as it announced higher payments for shareholders. The South Korean currency, the Korean won, has recovered from yesterday's plummet but is still about 0.9. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol has lifted martial law, which he implemented hours earlier in a move that shocked MPs, the public and international allies. In a national address, the president said, "I have accepted the decision made by the National Assembly to dissolve and lift the martial law." MPs, including members of his own ruling party, voted to block the declaration as protesters clashed with soldiers and police after the martial law ruling.
Now, conspiracy theorists used to talk about martial law a lot because, like a taking of your rights. Now they refer to some of the stuff what South Korea, deals with, like the Samsung, the cars, the different things, and I thought it was still on, like, so. The fact that that protester went right up to the soldier and put her hand over the barrel of that's just serious, because like that would be something of an outcry to all the other countries around the politicalness of what's going on with here with the South Korea. So what I decided to do is look up what the martial law is.
This is what we are up against. This is what we are up against. December 6th, an important update for readers in martial law. Not to be confused with marital law. For other uses, see martial law, disambiguation. Martial law is the replacement of civilian government by military rule and the suspension of civilian legal processes for military powers. Martial law can continue for a specified amount of time, or indefinitely, and standard civil liberties may be suspended for as long as martial law continues. Most often, martial law is declared in times of war and/or emergencies such as civil unrest and natural disasters. Alternatively, martial law may be declared in instances of military coups d'état. Overview. Despite the fact that it has been declared frequently throughout history, martial law is still often described as largely elusive as a legal entity. References to martial law date back to 1628 England, when Sir Matthew Hale described martial law as no law, but something indulged rather than allowed as a law. Despite being centuries old, this quote remains true in many countries around the world today. Most often, the implementation of martial law arises from necessity rather than legal right, and while some countries have provisions explicitly permitting the use of martial law, many do not. For countries that do not explicitly permit the declaration of martial law, but where martial law has been declared, the legal justification for it is often the common law doctrine of necessity, or some variation of it. Common law doctrine of necessity and martial law. One legal theory most frequently associated with martial law is the common law doctrine of necessity. While many countries, the United States for example, do not have the explicit constitutional right to declare martial law, Scholars often interpret the law of the United States to allow for the implementation of martial law in times of necessity. Countries such as Pakistan have famously implemented this rationale as well. Use. Martial law can be used by governments to enforce their rule over the public, as seen in multiple countries listed below. Such incidents may occur after a coup d'état, Thailand in 2006 and 2014, and Egypt in 2013, when threatened by popular protest. China, Tiananmen Square protests of 1989, to suppress political opposition, martial law in Poland in 1981, or to stabilize insurrections or perceived insurrections. Martial law may be declared in cases of major natural disasters. However, most countries use a different legal construct, such as a state of emergency.
That's interesting. That is very, very, very interesting. So yeah, because I saw this the other day, I wanted to bring it up because I was also thinking at one time or the other that martial law will be used in other countries, but as well, even in the 2024 going into 2025, anything is possible. So Korea has shown this example, even though like it didn't completely go true and it got overrun because the people didn't want to be caught up in without liberties or civil liberties, however you want to put it. I think, and I also think it's also to stop the people from becoming revolutionaries, however you want to take, however, because there's a communist and a revolutionist and all that. So I feel that's why, like in the end, right, the prime minister had to stand down because it would have got really serious. You know what I mean? It would have got really serious over there. So that was one thing that I noticed this week. I hope it's okay. And human trafficking. There was a human trafficking thing that happened. Oh, hi everybody. Hi. Thank you for the birthday blessings as well yesterday. If I haven't said it, but I do appreciate it. Thank you. Right, is well appreciated. Okay. So the next thing I want to cover as well, because I'm just going to go through a few things that came up this week. I hope my thing is showing good. Right. Another thing I wanted to also highlight today as well. Let's take this down. Is oh yeah, I have to put up this on the screen. Right. The other thing I want to highlight today is this that came up as well. There's quite a couple things to do with human rights that's come out, was happening this week.
Today, I'm joined by the Division of Criminal Justice Director, Steve Furketic, Chief of Detectives, Weldon Powell, Acting Prosecutor of Mercer County, and in this context, the Deputy Director of the Division of Criminal Justice, who oversees the Human Trafficking Unit, Teresa Hilton. And I'm also pleased to be joined by Lieutenant Colonel Phil Buck of New Jersey State Police, as well as all of their respective teams from the Division of Criminal Justice and from the State Police, who did extraordinary work on the indictments that I'm about to announce. We're here today to announce the indictments of 7 defendants in connection with 2 separate human trafficking enterprises operating in both North and South Jersey. I think it's important to underscore the locations here because we know that human trafficking knows no boundaries and in fact operates both throughout our state, throughout this country, and indeed across the globe. In the South Jersey case, which came out of Cumberland County, 4 Bridgeton residents, Uziel Luna, who was 42, as well as his alleged co-conspirators, Jose Perez Lopez, age 40, Rosendo Vasquez Hernandez, age 35, and Yerson Puentes Marquez, age 28, were indicted yesterday. The indictment alleges that all four defendants, who also engaged in drug trafficking, participated in a human trafficking operation in which women were recruited on the false pretense that they would be working as dancers, but instead they were taken to a Bridgeton home where they were offered for commercial sex. It's alleged that new victims were picked up on a weekly basis from Queens, New York, and from Paterson, New Jersey. And they were taken down to Bridgeton, where they were allegedly forced to perform sex acts on hundreds of men during the week. And while at the house, the victims also allegedly witnessed violent activity. In the Essex County case, 2 suspects were indicted yesterday in connection with the human trafficking of 3 juvenile victims. A third suspect in that case was indicted in August. Newark residents Kyla Meekins, age 21, and her alleged co-conspirator, Dante Barkley, age 28, were indicted after allegedly forcing 2 15-year-old victims and 1 13-year-old victim to perform sexual acts. In this case, the defendants allegedly arranged for the victims to engage in sex acts using smartphone apps and posting online ads, including nude photos of the minors. The children victims, and I want to underscore that these were children, were then allegedly taken to short-term rentals and hotels to engage in sex acts. These alleged crimes are a stark reminder as to why we must be steadfast in our goal to end human trafficking in all of its forms. We are, and as long as I'm the Attorney General of this state, will remain committed to pursuing charges against anyone who engages in human trafficking. And our motivation for this work, and I think I speak for everybody who does this work in this room, is simple. We do this work for the victims, for the survivors, for those who deserve justice and dignity and who deserve to be treated like human beings. We fight for everyone who has not only survived the horrors of human trafficking, but also those who are working to rebuild their lives one step and one day at a time. The Division of Criminal Justice's Human Trafficking Unit was launched nearly 2 years ago, and the vital work of this unit cannot be overstated. When I announced the creation of the Human Trafficking Unit, I explained that the unit had a clear mandate to identify and dismantle human trafficking networks operating in our state and to provide a measure of justice to those who had suffered at their hands. And I'm proud that the unit is doing that work in service of that mission each and every day across New Jersey. Just to give you a sense of the scale of this unit's operations now, since it was created 2 years ago, we now have 11 seasoned litigators and investigators working together to pursue what are often complex human trafficking networks, again, across jurisdictional boundaries. I'm also proud that the New Jersey State Police has significantly increased its human trafficking unit size, and our divisional criminal justice team was able to double in size this year as compared to its first year in operation. And with that increase in personnel, we've increased the unit's caseload. This case that we're announcing today is a testament to the Division of Criminal Justice and the New Jersey State Police close collaboration, which have led to these 2 successful investigations. It's undeniable that the collaboration we have across the state police and with the Division of Criminal Justice has led to what is truly an unprecedented increase in the investigation and prosecution of human trafficking in New Jersey. Put it in perspective, from 2018 to 2022, in 2024, we had more defendants charged or indicted than that were charged or indicted in the entire state of New Jersey from 2018 to 2022. Those are just numbers coming out of the Division of Criminal Justice. So this year alone, more defendants than were charged or indicted in the entire state over a 4-year period. That is a significant increase and a testament to the work that we've been able to do thanks to the increased investment and focus on these horrible crimes. And while the full extent of the problem and the challenge of human trafficking can be difficult to assess, we know that the FBI considers New Jersey to be a hub for this type of activity because of our location, because we're within reach of several major metropolitan areas, including New York, Philadelphia, and Baltimore. But we are fighting back. In addition to our human trafficking unit, our human trafficking task force, which began in 2005, continues its work coordinating the efforts of state and federal law enforcement agencies, as well as state regulatory departments, advocacy groups, and importantly, social service providers. The information that they share is then used to coordinate and drive both investigations and law enforcement training, as well as victim outreach and our public awareness efforts. But we know that more needs to be done. 2025 is just a few weeks away, and yet we live in a world where some of us look at fellow human beings simply as property. Human trafficking is a crime where victims are often hidden in plain sight, and signs of human trafficking often go unnoticed because the relationship between the trafficker and the victim masquerades as often as a consensual romantic or familial relationship, or even sometimes as a legitimate employment relationship. So we must dispel the myths and misconceptions about human trafficking, including this commonly held notion that this is something that only happens to other people. In fact, human trafficking can affect every community across our state and indeed across this country. This misconception limits and hinders our ability.
Oh, that's so strange. Just how much months ago, right? I brought up this subject about human trafficking and human trafficking survivors, and then this happened to be on here. I didn't know that it was people that got indicted on human trafficking charges. Mind you, it is worldwide, as well across, as well as apart from America. It can happen even in the UK as well. There have been some major horror stories of people where they have to get away, have been in human trafficking situations where they tell their stories. The advocacy that they speak about. I mean, I've done a couple examples. The girl in the closet. I think there's been a couple ones. I can't remember off the top of my head right now. There's been so many. But this is an ongoing thing. Not only that, right, we've seen it in movies, we've seen it in real life. We even had one like Addie Carter talk as though she's been there herself. Now, the reason why I use Addie Carter, because Addie Carter goes into details of what happened to her as a child in this situation. And people are just seen as cargo and all sorts of things. But then you can say it's likened onto slavery and other things. So when I hear him talking like that, where they're trying to make changes to stop this, and the ages of the children, the youth, and what they had to do, to me, it is very deep. When you hear children go missing, youth go missing. There's so many different types of trafficking kind of thing, to do with the organs and all that stuff. It's just it's a major thing. And like he said, it can happen to anybody at all. You really have to be aware of what is going on. Like if you see something on your car, if you see certain stuff going on. I think one young lady even lied on this, and then later on she got found out. But as you see how this is a very serious thing. So I'm gonna let him continue, and I'll just listen as well.
To detect human trafficking and to prosecute it. So dispelling these myths is critical because the scope of this problem requires vigilance in every neighborhood, in every town, in every county, in every community, indeed in every state across this country. So in order to increase awareness, I launched a public awareness campaign earlier this year known as STALLS, which stands for Sanctuary from Trafficking, Awareness, and Linkage to Law Enforcement and Services. In particular, I want to thank First Assistant Attorney General of in our department, Lindsay Rotolo, for her leadership on this effort. This campaign involves brightly colored posters with information about how victims and bystanders can report suspected human trafficking, and they are now in place in public restrooms across our state. These posters include QR codes and the number for National Human Trafficking Hotline, as well as the New Jersey Human Trafficking Hotline. And they're found in places where we know, tragically, may be the only time that a victim will be alone. Acting Prosecutor Teresa Hilton will have more on this campaign later in the press conference. We're also, and this is really important, working to enhance the services and supports that we make available to victims as they seek to recover and find some measure of justice. It's that need to provide support to victims that led me to create the Division of Violence Intervention and Victim Assistance, better known as VIVA, back in 2022. VIVA brings together our victim services and the department's violence intervention and prevention programming under one roof because it is imperative that we interrupt cycles of violence and that we give victims a permanent seat at the table. ridding the world of human trafficking is not an easy task and not one that we will accomplish alone. But as New Jerseyans, I know that we're in this fight. I'm extraordinarily proud of the dedicated law enforcement personnel and prosecutors, career prosecutors, who have taken on this mission of tackling these truly heinous crimes. And before I turn it over to the Director of the Division of Criminal Justice for his remarks, I want to thank each of the investigators and attorneys involved in today's indictments. From the New Jersey State Police, Lieutenant Anthony Carugno, Detective Sergeant First Class Ricardo Diaz, Detective Sergeant First Class Mark Anthony Mua, Detective Sergeant Mark Wettengel, Detective Sergeant Richard Hersey, Detective 2 Michael Fama, Detective 2 Gisela Machuca, Detective 2 Jason Maloney, Detective 2 Sean Gosrang, Detective Cassidy Egan, Detective Shane Furlong, Detective Houston Story, and Analyst Kaylee DeSimone. And from the Division of Criminal Justice, Bureau Chief Laura Magnone, Deputy Attorney General Lisa Queen, Deputy Attorney General Jacqueline Dowd, Deputy Attorney General Amy Hyde, Deputy Chief Kevin Gannon, Sergeant Dave Katona, Sergeant Michael Gonzalez, Detective Brianna Perea, Detective Nadad Ninkovich, and Detective Kara Murphy. I would also like to thank and recognize the Cumberland County Prosecutor's Office for their assistance in today's announcements. You can see these cases are complex and take a village of dedicated personnel and committed public servants to bring these perpetrators to justice. And I'm very grateful for each and every one of them for the work that they've done. I would now like to turn the podium over to Director Verketic, who will share additional details about today's indictments.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Attorney General Placken. Before I begin, I want to echo General Placken and thank the incredible team of prosecutors and detectives who worked on the two cases we are discussing today. Both of these matters reflect outstanding collaboration between the Division of Criminal Justice and the State Police's Human Trafficking Team by prosecutors and detectives working in both the northern and southern parts of the state. I also want to thank the Cumberland County Prosecutor's Office and Prosecutor Webb McCrae for their assistance in the Bridgeton investigation. I want to spend the next few minutes walking you through the allegations contained in the two indictments. In the Essex County case, the indictment alleges that the defendants trafficked teenagers. Specifically, the victims were subjected to physical assault by their traffickers and repeatedly sexually assaulted by strangers. The indictment alleges that the defendants profited from the abuse. The first defendant charged in this case is Kayla Meekins, age 21 of Newark, New Jersey. Meekins is charged with 3 counts of first-degree human trafficking of a minor, 3 counts of first-degree human trafficking to engage in sexual activity by threatening harm, and 1 count of second-degree aggravated assault, among other charges. The maximum sentence on first-degree crime of human trafficking of a minor is 20 years to life imprisonment. The second defendant charged is Dante Barkley, age 28 of Newark, New Jersey. Barkley is also charged with 3 counts of first-degree human trafficking of a minor, among other charges. Again, the maximum sentence on a first-degree crime of human trafficking of a minor is 20 years to life imprisonment. The third defendant, who was previously indicted on August 14th, 2024, is Richard Johnson, age 34 of Irvington, New Jersey. Johnson is charged with 1 count of first-degree aggravated sexual assault, among other charges. In the other case, the indictment alleges that the Cumberland County conspirators recruited women to work as dancers, but then forced these women to remain in a house and be subjected to multiple sexual assaults by strangers. New victims were recruited regularly from Queens, New York, and Paterson, New Jersey. The indictment also alleges that the defendants distributed drugs, including cocaine and methamphetamine. The first defendant charged in the Cumberland County case is Uziel Luna, age 42 of Bridgeton, New Jersey. Luna is charged with 5 counts of first-degree human trafficking, including 1 count.
Hi, Brown Sugar. It's crazy, isn't it? This situation here, like human trafficking found in New Jersey, and they're reading out the names of the perpetrators and how much charges they got that they got basically. I'm just letting it play because I came across this just the other day and I was dying to talk about it. Well, put it up just to add it because I did talk about human trafficking ages ago, months ago, I don't even know, and this popped up. So I'm just playing it so that you can hear the charges, what they gave to the people. Wow, this is becoming commonplace anymore. Yeah. Yeah, it's getting very common now because it seems like they are definitely trying to have minors and all this stuff going on. And judging by what they're saying that happened in the house, where they said they promised them that there was going to be dances and something else. And I think, oh yeah, I did speak about this before. That's when Solar and somebody else got caught up in something, and I was referring to this. So it just shows you how easy like you can get thinking that is one thing, and then like it turns into something else. And when I saw that they said it was in New Jersey, I was like, wow. Like, I mean, I know it happens on a regular basis, but mostly, right, I know Texas is one of the biggest places where traffickers are. And what I like about this guy, he talks about the nearest areas that they use, like, so they have a hub, and then the nearest places that they use and stuff like that to come out of the area. It's interesting, you know. Like he said, it's in plain sight. They did put stuff in the areas where like a person can call out for help. They started a campaign, which I do remember. I saw the campaign up. So I like that he's talking about it as well, and that how these men has literally got got caught. Basically, they got caught. I hope that more people are caught, because this is an ongoing thing now. It's like it's ongoing. You know, it's very sad that this is happening as well, and to who it's happening to whom it's happening to is more importantly.
In which the defendant is identified as an organizer or supervisor. One count of first-degree racketeering and one count of first-degree distribution of methamphetamine, among other charges. The maximum sentence on a first-degree crime of human trafficking as the organizer or supervisor is 20 years to life imprisonment. The second defendant in the case is Jose Perez Lopez, age 40, of Bridgeton, New Jersey. Lopez is charged with 4 counts of first-degree human trafficking and 1 count of first-degree racketeering, among other charges. The third defendant is Rosendo Vasquez Hernandez, age 35, of Bridgeton. Hernandez is charged with 4 counts of first-degree human trafficking, 1 count of first-degree racketeering, and 1 count of first-degree distribution of methamphetamine, among other charges. And the fourth defendant is Yerson Puentes Marquez, age 28, of Bridgeton, New Jersey. Marquez is also charged with 4 counts of first-degree human trafficking, among other charges. The maximum sentence on a first-degree crime is 20 years. Because of the work of the incredible public servants at the Division of Criminal Justice and the New Jersey State Police, the victims of human trafficking in these 2 cases have been liberated. But we know we have more work to do. And I'm continually thankful for the effort that the members of the Division of Criminal Justice's human trafficking team bring to this critically important work every single day. Each member of that bureau reflects the spirit and passion of Prosecutor Hilton, who was the founding leader of the bureau, and Deputy Attorney General Laura Magnone, who leads it today. The Human Trafficking Bureau's work sends a clear message across New Jersey that the Division of Criminal Justice will stop at nothing to investigate and pursue those that engage in these crimes. Thank you again to the team for their outstanding work on these cases.
Thank you, Director. It's now my privilege to introduce the Lieutenant Colonel of the New Jersey State Police, Phil Buck.
Thank you, General. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'd be remiss, right? All the leadership in the room and that are here with us today, Prosecutor, Director, General Placken, Chief Powell, thank you for allowing me to address why we are all here today. I'd be remiss if I didn't give a little historical about the Human Trafficking Unit and how it pertains to me and Major Weiserak and his command that's in the back of the room. A little over 2 years ago was my first venture into the investigations branch. I since departed and I'm now back for my second tour in the investigations branch. And that time frame is about as long as the Human Trafficking Unit has been independent as their standalone unit. And to the General's comments, the amount of impact that they're having on the criminal interdiction world here in our home state and throughout our region is unprecedented. You do more with less. We're working on the personnel issue, I promise you. So we're going to do all we can to continue to beef up the personnel within the Human Trafficking Unit. Your command works feverishly on just that. But to Major Weiserak, Captain Oriello in the back, Lieutenant Hornicle, Captain Hanafi, they are the operating command of the bureau and the section that oversees the human trafficking unit. The support and the leadership and the allowance that a unit like this receives from their command, thanks does not do it justice. And usually you see the results of these two cases. I also, when you see that type of connection between leadership and unit level personnel, I also want to give a quick idea of emotion and how that ties into cases like these two cases we're talking about today. I only live about 30 miles from Essex County right now. All right, so I live a lot farther from Cumberland County than I do from Essex County. All right, but the issues of human trafficking exist everywhere in between where I live today on the Jersey Shore and back home in Cumberland County. I'm born and raised in Bridgeton. My friends are still there. My parents are still there. I still travel up and down Laurel Street every holiday, every time we have a chance to go visit my parents. And this type of interdiction has been needed for years, for my entire life. So the impact that this is having on not just Bridgeton, but the entire county and the entire region of the East Coast, because of what's happening in Little Bridgeton, right? Or in one county in New Jersey, is being heard all over the country. All over the country. I'm fresh off of an International Investigative Chiefs Conference about 3 weeks ago in Boston. And they want to know how we stood up a human trafficking unit so quickly. And I quickly leaned on the idea of the support that we get from the very top of our command structure all the way down to the unit level. It happens very naturally when the support and the energy and the passion exist at every level. So I know that there's leaders.
And it's good that how he's a native of the place, because especially if he's seen it over the years and he wanted change. So what he's done now, he's made changes. He can make changes. They can try to stop as much as this as they can, right? Because like I feel how he's talking there is like he feels that there's something actually happening, because like they can go into conferences or police conferences and give a whole heap of promises and nothing happens. So the fact that how he's talking this way says a lot. Yeah. And I just thought I'd bring this one forward too, to be honest, because like we know this goes on a daily basis, right? And like I said, if you have watched The Sound of Freedom, you know how deep this goes, right? This is not something that can be spoken very lightly about. This is very serious, especially whether it's women, minors, men, whatever, it is a serious thing. And when you see that people are trying to make changes to stop this from happening, no matter what, right, you have to give them that acknowledgement. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to stop this one and I'm going to move to another story as well. I'm not going to move too quick now. Oops. I'm going to be, let me see if I can get there. Now, I spoke about Jordan Neely.
Tired of seeing a blurred reality? Try these
Jordan Neely, the homeless guy who was asking for food in New York, and he was in a chokehold. I'm not going to show all of what happened in the video, because it's very disturbing to me that how a person or a man, I know I spoke about this before, but I see that how they said that he was denied. I can't remember where they said he was. I can't even remember what happened in that one. It's so strange, because Jordan Neely one was one of the deepest cases that happened in New York as well, because he being who he is, a black man, even though people say, but it's not black and white, he being who he is as well, and what he been through himself, that he became a victim of, I would say, bad circumstances, because somebody took it on themselves that Howard, they thought that Howard, they were subduing him. They ended up unaliving him. And some could say that it's down to privilege, it's down to whatever. He thought that in his mind, he was being the hero, but he was also accompanied by other people who was there. He was just watching. And the sad thing about it is, right, yes, people get reactionary 5 minutes later, a couple of days, a couple of months, and then unless the court or the case is brought up again, then people's talking about it. Unless it's trending, oh yeah, I'll speak about it. No, right. Jordan Neely was actually an innocent. He was a Michael Jackson impersonator. And he was literally asking for food on the train. You are begging for money or something, and to them, it was seen as a threat. So they took it on themselves, and I mean, I don't have to say anymore. If you know about the Jordan Neely story, you know, innit? So I'm not gonna say more about it. I'm just gonna say. Let me see. Oh yes. And another thing they brought up, like they were saying, was it too much? What did they say on this one? Was it too much force? Let me see. Let me talk. Defense of others, or was it in defense of others, or was it too much force? That's how they presenting it, right? And I would say it was not for defense of others. There was no need for the force. There was no need for the force, right? If he did lounge up somebody, or he did somebody something, and then that he had to step in and defend it, is different. I also feel that how the guy must have been peed off. You know how people have bad days, bad mornings. They're going into work. They just want to get to their destination. They don't want to be asked. They don't want to deal with drama. And then there's a guy that's shouting or whatever. I feel it could have been dealt with a lot more differently. The man did not have a weapon upon him. He didn't have anything that indicated it. Though they did say in the past that how, right, he is known for shouting or whatever. Right now in London, there is people exactly like this. Is homeless people in London. Okay, there's homeless people in London. I was watching Ringo Starr the other day, and there's a guy, he had schizophrenia. I think he has some kind of mental health. I'm not sure what mental health it is. The guy was calm as the day. Then he switched. It could be bipolar. Then he just switched. The guy just switched. So if you know the person that is in the area, you know, like some people are known in the areas, like the shouting. There's ones that shout. There's ones that be asking for food. There's ones that do whatever, right? There is these ones over here too, right? There's bipolar. There is people who are aggressive, mental health, really aggressive. People have been unalived by mental health people. Yes, I'm not even saying that how, right, that is a good thing either, but that's because some of their needs are not dealt with, right? And they have a it's the same with everything, a care plan or whatever plan. And sometimes, right, they'll be homeless and it's not always met. Now, I know in America that how, right, they call either the police or the ambulance people, and they come and they pick them up. They come and pick them up. Now, in Jordan Neely's situation, this wasn't so. He wasn't even given a chance to even get picked up so he can get taken to wherever so he can calm down, or whatever they need to give him to, calm him down, right? Because remember, there is loads of different types of mental health. No mental health is the same. We can have PTSD and all sorts. They're not all the same. So I feel that how, right, this man, this man thought in his blood and his water that how he is doing something good, and also because of the bystanders that just stood there and just watched. And I'm thinking, I mean, you just watched a man get chokehold. You just stood there. You didn't tell the man don't do it. You didn't say stop. You didn't say none of that. Now that I feel is very dangerous for anybody with mental health. Me and you can have mental health, though we are sane people, right? At any time, right, we can be told, right, we can have mental. We can go to the doctor today, tomorrow, and the doctor can say, yeah, mental health. Yeah, bipolar. You have this. You have that. And you take it upon yourself to unalive somebody like that in such a way. Now, I knew they did a march for him. To me, maybe right, they need to take it further as trying to get laws for these people, more laws for these people as well, so that they can get help. They might need a halfway house. Like how people give prisoners halfway house. They give pedophiles half pedo. What they call? I don't even know how to term the word. How to coin the word. Nonsense. Let's say nonsense in the English terms. Halfway houses and all this stuff, and they get looked after better than, you will say, the one with the mental health or whatever. Right. So to me, it doesn't matter. And I always say that England and America is very similar. Right, like just that how over here, right, they try to do it the nice way, but not so nice way at the same time. And there is examples. I can give examples on that one, but I ain't gonna go down that wormhole right now. I'll leave that for another time. I might even upload one on that, because there was one recently. So yeah, it's like, how could you do that? In America, when Reagan was president, he closed down a lot of mental hospitals here, and now a lot of these people are walking the streets now and committing crimes. Yes, I believe you. Because it's the same thing here. Right. What they do, they come out of mental places and stuff like that, and then they don't. Some is not as bad as others, but it's knowing who's the right ones who should be on the streets and etc., and how they're taken care of, because they can't get the help and resources that they need anymore. Exactly. And maybe they need to put in something in place to help them, and not just have them on streets, and not just have them whatever, and not just have them, don't have them boarded up in an asylum. Sometimes, right, you need to they need to be able to be around civil, around the population, you know what I mean? Within reason. But it's just like, this here, I feel that how, right, it was taken to a whole nother different level. There was no need for it. And I still to this day believe that how, right, the guy had a bad day. And I'm not saying he's right, because he isn't right. Because you have a bad day, that don't mean to say that how, right, you must take out another human being out of this world. It's not right. I don't care whether the man's shouting, as long as the man ain't got a weapon in his hand, and he ain't doing hurting nobody. He's asking for food. You can just take him, you give him food. There's homeless people. People are homeless for all sorts of reasons. When I watch Ringo Starr, Ringo Vision, I learn a whole heap, because he's literally feeding the people on ground level. I don't blame a lot of them, because they can't help themselves, and a lot of them have quit taking their medication and they can't help themselves. That's exactly. So I feel that how this was taken completely out of. There was no need for it, basically. He just and so I'm gonna put up, I think it's this one. I think it's this one anyway. We're just gonna go through, yeah? We're just gonna go through.
way. People were nervous. He felt that he needed it to act to calm the situation and subdue Mr. Neely. However, he jumped right and got a rear naked chin, which can be quite dangerous and lethal if applied long, because it literally cuts your airway. And I just don't see why he needed to have the choke on as tight it was for the entirety of this. Actually, once Mr. Neely wasn't even fighting back, wasn't even resisting.
Right. David, great point. That's really, you hit the nail on the head. What this case is about, right? The time under that tension is what's in question. At what point should it have been released to keep everybody safe? And full disclosure, I had the idea to do this segment because I didn't know there were multiple types of chokeholds. You both know that. Manuel, let me go to you with that question, please. Can you walk us through the varying types of them?
Well, you have the rear naked chokehold, which Daniel Penny used, which is taught by the military, and it's one of our deadliest. Then you also have the guillotine chokehold. You have the triangle chokehold. You also have the arm triangle chokehold. And one of the most quickest and deadliest one is the baseball chokehold. Again, you see him apply this chokehold, which he cuts off literally the pressure from the carotid artery and the windpipe. And this is what causes the victim to pass out, okay? But he kept it going the entire time. And that's the problem in this case. You know, he abused his authority. He went straight for a kill chokehold. And this is why, in my professional opinion, New York jury is going to find him guilty. He overreacted.
Manuel, thank you for that. I want to go to the law in New York, and we're going to put it up on the screen here. The New York state law saying that a person may not use deadly physical force upon another person unless the actor reasonably believes that such other person is using or about to use deadly physical force. Even in such case, however, the actor may not use deadly physical force if he or she knows that with complete personal safety to oneself and others, he or she may avoid the necessity of doing so by retreating. So we're wondering, so looking at the state law, were Daniel Penny's actions legally justified? David Otunga, let me go back to you. What do you say to that question, please?
See, that's a gray area kind of. That's an interpretation, because the last thing you put up there were people able to flee. You can't on a subway train, and you have to remember this enclosed space. I've ridden New York subways many times, and it's kind of a terrifying find, especially if somebody gets on there who's super erratic. Like, I'm thinking about that. If somebody happened, what you do? And everybody's locked on there until the next stop. If somebody was really unhinged, somebody has a weapon. So I think in this case.
Do you see the person shaking in the corner in the blue that's walking now as he's talking? How he's shaking because he's seeing this. And what this man did, he's traumatized people who is not in that state of mind, that thinking of like how he's thinking. You're traumatizing people that is on the train, right? Mind you, people was like happy that he did his duty because he was a veteran, or where. And I'm not saying veterans should not be acknowledged, right? Because he was a Marine. I'm not saying that they shouldn't be acknowledged. It's just the way how you dealt with things. You used your skills as a Marine and you took down the man in a way that was uncalled for. There was no need for it, right? Even had the guy explain, he said that the last one that he said, that's the deadliest one. That's the one that he used. It's like, he just think that I jumped and I did this and I'm saving everybody from this man. Like, once again, I will say this again, right? Because I am a black person myself, right? If the man has a weapon or something else in his hand or whatever, Marines, I know, right? They can fight and they can take away weapons. They can take away all different things. They are trained like that, right? And yes, if a person is shouting on the train, well, there's nothing you can do most of the time. Why it's like you gotta hope and pray that you get to the stop. It's the same on the buses, right? Over here, right? There's buses over here. People be shouting and all sorts on the buses sometimes, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, when is this person gonna get off? Whatever. Fights would sometimes people argue on the buses. It'd be big arguments, long arguments, and you're there, and you're just like, wow, like You know, it's one of those situations where like nobody wants to be in that situation. Nobody. So whether you're on the train, the bus, the train and the bus, the tram, anything that's to do with traveling, where like you're in the public. Because like when you're in your car and your different space is different, but when you're in that space, and the mere fact that how I kind of like how he's explaining. He's explaining like, okay, well, if I was in that position, I'll be like this. Yes, you will be kind of scared or whatever because you don't know what that person's gonna do. But at the same time, if the person is known and you're traveling through there every single time and you've seen the same person there, and it's a known person, right? Who's been um performing there for how many years? He's a known face. Like in every area, there is a person who is known in the area, right? And they are homeless, and you know the faces, you know them, you know who they are, you right? And it's like they sort of made him subhuman or not human or whatever. He's human, just like you. Like, come on, like, you know, that's how the police unalive George Floyd here in America. The police used that chokehold, and he was yeah, exactly. Now over here, they're coming with the same thing over here. Over here, when they do the stop and search, or they're stopping and searching people over here, right? About like it'd be like 10, seem like 10 policemen to one person, mostly youngsters. They will stop them and they search them and they check them and all this stuff. But bear in mind, these are youngsters, right? These are young men. Like over here, there was this thing called Trident, and they used to stop and search them on a regular. Then it gets out of control because if a policeman sees or somebody sees, okay, he's driving, his car is too nice or whatever, how he come to have this car, right? So they will stop and search because like the first thing they're thinking, oh yeah, he's a drug dealer, he's a this, right? And in most cases, right, it'd be like there was an athlete that got stopped with his wife and he was stopped outside of his home. He lives in, I would say, the nice side of London, and they stopped him, right? And it's just like what happens over in America where like a USP guy will be going to make a delivery. Then he's getting asked, what are you here for? When it's quite obvious that he's there to deliver. He's not there to do anything else. Like, so then it turns into a back and forth. And then in the end now, right, you have to whip out your camera because like you got to you got to log this because like you don't want to be seen as the aggressor. Or like the woman who was in the park with the dog who almost killed her dog, right? While filming the man who's in the area just walking his dog. It's just like, where does it stop? You know what I mean? And I removed my comment because I should have said on the live instead of, oh, it's okay. Oh, it's okay. I said on the live. Yeah. So there's those situations. That's what I'm saying. England and America, I'll repeat. And I'll keep repeating because I repeat myself anyway. America and England is not that far from each other because they copycat each other. They copycat each other with the searching and certain stuff. You can be innocent. Even I think it was Joy Gardner in the 80s, Joy Gardner or one of them in Brixton. Her son, they came looking for her son, and she opened the door, and they were searching for him, right? And they didn't find him, right? And I think they had her face down. She's a big woman, 40, 50, older maybe at the time. And they had her in a choke, not a chokehold, they had her I think they muffed her. I can't remember how it went, but it was really bad. And I think she ended up passing in the hospital. Hi, Fundi. She ended up passing in the hospital. So this is during the sus law time. I think not. Is it sus law? I think was around that time in London, right? Because there was so much going on that they was stopping and searching people, right? They would say that you were loitering, you was doing this. That's why when I talk about Les Henry, Dr. Les Henry, when he was coming from some part of central London, I know I keep saying central London because I always think of central London, either West London or East London, one of them parts, not East London, one of those push parts. And he said he was on the bus. He had to have a card to pass to come through the other end. Now, mind you, somebody in the comment section said how that never happened, but Dr. Les Henry, and I always remember this, always spoke about it, right? Now, in Babylon, the movie, you see Blue walking through some part of London. This is nearing the end of the movie, right? And as he's walking, the police sees him, and they run and they chase him. No, it's not the ending. It's the mid beginning of the movie. They chase him. Then when they get him, they beat him up, and then they kind of questioned him, and he said, "Look, officer, I ain't doing nothing. I'm just minding my own business." And that's what they used to do. This is the same tactics that is used today in London, like now, even now with the youths. Yes, the youths are very much out of control. Now, there's some things that the youths are very much out of control now, but it's the force that is used. That's why there was a whole riot over here a couple years back. Mark Duggan, I think the police unalived him, and there was a whole riot. The children rioted. They rioted, right? And then they tried to make Mark Duggan the villain in the story, right? Just like how they did with Chris Kaba, right? Because remember, right, most of the men or people, yes, they have a criminal background, right? And we ain't saying like, yeah, whatever. It's just how you take them off the road. There's no need to do so much force. In the force now, right, you end up unaliving them for what? Because like you had a bad day. Oh, you just want to get a couple, you know what, off the streets or whatever. That is nowhere fair, not even fair. Even women, right? There was a case, like, I can go through a couple cases, right? They was also violating women in searches, right, as well. And one woman spoke up, and she spoke about, I think she did get something for it, right? So even with that, it's like the power goes to the head. Or they will say, okay, today, whatever, I'm going to take off like this much because like they want to meet, I call it a quota. If I see I hear stories about men consistently dying, I always call it's like for them hunting season. They all thinking to yourself, can't I walk street and do what I'm doing like a normal person? Can I not just say, okay, let me go look at a house in a nice area without somebody coming out and asking me, what am I doing here? Can I not walk down the street without you pulling your hand like as though I'm nasty or maybe I'm going to rub off on you or something? Now, just the other day, now, not that I'm going off the story, they went to certain places where there was human zoos in London and different parts. That's just a whole nother federal stories. And I do believe that's how some people see people. They don't see you as human. They see you as subhuman, right? You can be the most intelligentest person. You can be the most read person. You can be the most well-read person. And that's why I believe that why you can actually save people and educate them or whatever else you got to do, because not everybody knows the law. Not all of us knows the law. We don't know our rights unless unless we are shown, okay, right, this is your rights. If the police comes up to you, this is what you do, right? If they say, okay, right, okay, can I get a lawyer? Can I get this? Can I get, like, you don't know. And I feel that how, right, there needs to be forums, a bit more forums about that. The safety of the safety of people. Though, mind you, the Black Panthers did know the law backwards and forwards, right? But they hated it. So instead, what they did, right, they got rid of the leaders who was teaching you to be self-sufficient in the law, self-sufficient in knowing your rights as a person, that you are seen as a human being, that you have a right to speak for yourself or speak for your case or speak for who you are and to stand on it. Like, anyway, I'm going into speech mode, but I don't mean to go into speech mode, but I'm just saying that's how I see certain stuff. Hi, Shadow. I don't want my words to fit to. Oh, yes, that's okay. Thank you, Brown Sugar. Peace, Fundi. Peace, Shadow. Yeah. So it's like what? So it's like, why would you take down another human being with such force? That is what I'm basically saying, okay? Even if I drifted off my point, because I know I drifted off my point, but that is it. That is it, right? If I was to show you Ringo Starr, I keep calling him Ringo Starr, Ringo Vision, right? He fed 1,000 homeless people. And there was this man that was like, I think he was just there. I don't think he was a helper. I think he was there. Right. So the man was reasoning with Ringo Starr and his friend, and it happened twice. Then he switched. He switched on Ringo. But Ringo said the funny thing is he kept coming back. I said to Ringo on his thing, there must be something about you why he keeps coming back. Ringo said that how, yes, because some of the mental health things are not addressed. So they're on the street. They have no rights. They have no address. They have no this. Like, so they're just seen as like so-called invisible people. Because remember, before people used to call homeless people the invisible people. So he's feeding people, feeding the people. All sorts of stories is coming up. One lady, she was telling her story. You know what I mean? When you go to other channels that refers to homeless people, they're either on there and they have a big drug problem. A big drug problem, right? And you can see it on their faces. But some of them literally do take themselves out of the situation. I don't know how they get through it. It's just one of those things. You won't want to wish that on your worst enemy. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, I just feel he used too much force. Boom. He used too much force. He out of order.
It comes down to the people that were there, and the witnesses, they were actually scared to the point where the prosecution even concedes Daniel Penny acted, it was justified for him to act. Now, that's the thing. It was justified for him to act, at how far and how long it was and how excessive the choke was. Again, he didn't have to hold it that tight. But you could tell, you have somebody in such a vulnerable position there, you can literally feel them. Are they breathing? Are they moving? Are they fighting? And when they start to go limp, let them go. Or keep in, but don't cinch it so tight. And if he fights back, you cinch it again. Because it's really designed to just come, once you cinch it in really tight, it'll cut off that blood supply to the head. They'll go out. That's it. Just keep them there.
This is such great insight you both are offering us. Manuel, we got some questions in our newsroom going yesterday. People saying, well, what about a citizen's arrest, right? You've policed the streets of New York City. Would you kind of walk us through what would be lawful in a case like this one?
I wanted to give you this for Christmas, and get this. You can get this without even...
No, but would be because the citizen's arrest would have to be a crime being committed, which then authorizes you in New York State to commit a arrest, and you can, do it legally. The problem is, this man never assaulted anyone. He yelled, he screamed, he acted erratic, but he did not assault anyone.
And one of them is holding his hand on the other side. So the the people, the men that was there, because there's let me see how many men hanging over it. 3 man. 3, 4, like 1 man. Hold on, let me get to the screen. 1 man holding him by the throat. 2 man bending over. 1 holding him by the hand. In fact, them men should have been in court just alongside the stupid guy, whatever his name is. I can't remember the stupid Daniel. 1 man, they should have all been sent to jail or whatever too, because they're accomplices. It's not fair. It's not a fair fight anyway. No, by no means. But then again, some people don't like to play fair anyway. They don't like to play fair, right? You hold, right, like the man said, from the time we see him go limp, you should have let go. It's like, what possessed you to do that? Oh, then again, don't even answer that. Don't even answer that, right? Because at the same time, right, the guy holding the man, it's like he's taken away his rights as a human being. High passion, Lisa. He's taking his rights to be his right as a human being in the sight of whoever, right? You dare do that. What is that showing? That just shows your mindset on how you look at people. Right? Maybe you should be put in the same category as how you see that man, because you saw that man as a threat. You are no way no better than him. For all you know, Mr. Daniel, right? You could be in the same position as him, and people see you as a subhuman. You can probably have a mental health anyway, being that you is a veteran, because you know PTSD and all that shit. So who is you? You are nowhere better. You are worse. You are the lowest. You are the bottom of the shoe. Basically, scum. Basic. What else do I need to say? I don't need to say nothing else after that. You went overboard. You went overboard. Can you imagine? And in fact, the man lost his mother. And then you come and send him where to? Right? It's like, what? It's accessible false. It is. Come on. We don't even. It doesn't like there doesn't even need to be a discussion whether it's accessible false or not accessible false. It's too much. You did too much. You did too much. Right? And his family has to deal with that. Not only was he homeless and all that stuff. I did a live on this. I can't remember how long back. Everybody knows him by name. All videos of him everywhere. Impersonating Michael Jackson, right? Videos of him everywhere. The man's known. So it's like, why? Why? Like I said, you had a piss off day. That's your problem, innit? Grow up. Grow up. You had a bad day. Oh wow. People have bad days every single day, but they still go on. They still get through, get on the train, get to whatever, hoping that they don't have problems. Hi, mind's eye. Hoping they don't have problems when they have to get to their destination. It could have even been worse. The train could have got in a crash. But you know, think about that. You there, think about, oh yeah, right. I'm gonna hold this man down. Okay. So, and it's a shame. They need to. I think they said that they was gonna try and improve the system in that area in New York so that they can get to the homeless people then. It could be worse. Your bloody train could have blow up in the blinking subway. You don't know. Life is so funny. Life is one of those ones. You don't know where shit's gonna hit you. You don't know. You think him alone is gonna be the problem. There's bigger problems out there. Man. You even see the Indian man shaking, the one filming how he's shaking, he can't believe what he's watching. Traumatized the man.
Now, was Daniel Penny was correct to stand in front of the perpetrator and stand there and try to block him.
Look at this. Look at this. Hold on. Let me get close up. Let me go in. Let me go in deeper. Watch the next one. Let me see if we can do it. Look at this. This man holding his arm. He should have gone to prison too, or whatever. Go through courts procedure too. The one hanging over him, because it's about 3 man there. And him 1. 3, 4 man, and him 1. Wickedness, man. Wicked. Show wicked. Wicked. Boy, it's deep, man.
And neutralize the situation. Yes, he was correct. But according to New York State Criminal Procedure Law 35.15, which is the self-defense law, under Section 2, states that you cannot use self-defense or deadly force if the party has been neutralized or the force has been reduced. The problem here is the force stopped. He was not resisting anymore. And you can see that in the video when he reaches his hand up and he's asking literally for help. And you see how slow his hand is moving. So, again, was a citizen's arrest authorized in this case? No. Unfortunately, this is something I'm used to because in New York, there's thousands of crazy people. And if everybody was supposed to act like Daniel Penny, we would have thousands dead. And unfortunately, this is a sad case.
Right. And appreciate the point you're making, Manuel. You really see what you mean when the resistance is stopping. The application of the force needs to stop too. If there's no longer a threat to everyone, it needs to cease. This is such a sad case, and we know a legally tricky one. And we really are so grateful to have you both offering us your expertise. Manuel Gomez, thank you for your military service and the explainer today. And David Atug, it's always a treat to have you on the program. Thank you for your
They took the birdies, man. They took the biscuit. They did. All 3, 4 of them. I don't even care. Bystander, innocent bystander, freaking wicked. The man might as well be on a tree. That or whatever. Because that's what that comes from. That's what that tells me at that point. Your state, your point of mind, your state of mind, how you see people, how you perceive people, all that stuff. You are scum of the earth at this point. Right? The man's a freaking human being, first of all. Even if he is homeless, mental health, whatever you want to think, whatever you call a one. All right? It's not fair. You don't do them things, man. Shit out of orderness. Let me see. Let me make sure I go. Okay. So the other day I covered Fulton County and what was going on in Fulton County and that how the conditions in Fulton County. So I'm going to show one of the relatives who was marching outside Fulton County. So I'm going to go back to the Fulton County part because there was many problems in Fulton County. Fulton County was the biggest craziness in Fulton County. So I can't remember what started the necessaries why they started looking into Fulton County, because there was a lot of cases where young adolescent people was being put with men and that they will be essayed and all sorts of stuff. Now, Fulton County was where Nature Boy was, right, in Georgia, right? So Fulton County, I think this is where a guy was eaten to death by bugs, by bed bugs. He had mental health. There was also one with a CO, whatever they're called. The prison guard gave fentanyl to a mental health patient and he passed away. This is also the place where, like, there was a multitude things wrong with inside of the jail, right? So, do we know about the cult that is in there, the members, etc.? But then there's people that's there that is going through stuff, like trying to get through stuff or whatever else, and they are going through hell in the Fulton County. So I want to show one of the family members that was protesting at the time about the Fulton County stuff and what was going on with them. Now, yes, a person should be punished if they've done a crime. I'm not saying no. But at the same time, right, if they have mental health and certain stuff and they have colostomy bags and all sorts of things going on and you're not taking care of it, or they're not eating right, or have abscesses or whatever, right, they should be seen to be getting help for that. Talking about Fulton County, Georgia. Yeah, that's north of me, and they have been speaking about how bad the jail is. Yes, Shadow. They were speaking about. I did it on my other channel as well, and there was a whole breakdown of the necessities in there. Putting alternative in with men, and things happen to the people then. Now they said that some of the youths that is in there, right, shouldn't even be in there because they mix them up with adults. And we know these things has been going on because if you listen to the stories and the certain stuff, the men from the jail will tell you, and they would explain what goes on in the jail, where buggery will happen, etc. will happen. And it's a lot that goes on. A lot was going on in that jail. So now they said that they're going to start investigating, try to change up the jail, how they deal with people who's got mental health, who's got people who is in there for big crimes, and not putting the ones with the little crimes in with the ones with the big sentences, etc., etc., etc. They're speaking on that way before that happened. Yes, because I remember when the guy that got eaten with the bed bugs came out. I literally remember that one, because when I saw the picture of him as well, it's really crazy. Like, you know what I mean? It's crazy. And the family is still trying to investigate to find out what happened when he was in there. There was also a young man, I think, I can't remember the story exactly, and something happened to him in there too. And yeah, Shadow, we can even go through a number of situations that's happened in there, because even though now it's brought to the forefront, which I find it, these things have been happening, like you say, for years before even Stupid Boy went into Fulton County and stuff, and it's only because it got very severe now, then they start to take note of what's happening in there. It's just crazy. It's just mind-boggling, man. It's mind-boggling. So, yeah. But I'm not going to go through all what I said before. If you've seen the video of when I did on this one, particularly, you know what I'm talking about. It's deep, man. To me, it's sad, it's deep and stuff, like, you know what I mean? It's just, yeah, I don't even know what to say at this point.
findings on the deplorable conditions at the Fulton County Jail, the Rice Street facility. This investigation started last summer after a man named LaShawn Thompson was found dead in a cell covered in bed bugs. Well, tonight, one family is speaking out. They say that they are disgusted by the report's findings and are concerned about their loved one who's currently locked up. Teresa Bowles is joining us live tonight with more on this story. Hey, Teresa.
Hey, Faith, I'm at the Fulton County Jail on Rice Street, and I've read through all 97 pages of that report. There have been over 300 stabbings and more than 1,000 assaults at this jail, and relatives of those incarcerated are asking how many more will it take before a concrete solution.
A jail will be a place of correction.
Instead,
we believe a change will come.
This group says Fulton County Jail needs a correction.
You shouldn't come here with a traffic ticket and wind up with a death certificate.
An investigation by the Department of Justice says this jail is a death sentence. Bishop Wheat says his loved one, Desmond Lindley, has been locked up for 2 years. If something doesn't change, Wheat fears for Lindley's life.
He have told me deplorable, not fit for an animal to even live in.
The report confirms the jail's conditions are hazardous and unsanitary. Inmates are in danger because of inadequate health care, drugs, understaffing, and unwarranted excessive force.
This made me sick to my stomach because, number one, if a person has mental issues, this is not the place for them to be in.
The investigation agrees with Tamika Hicks, who says her son, Rowan Barrett, is behind bars. Sheriff Patrick Labatt and county leaders assure they're going to fix the jail by renovating and tightening up rules.
The tighten up should have had happened when they dug a wall in this jail. The tighten up should have had happened when you found a security officer with an inmate having sex.
The DOJ's findings couldn't identify how many sexual assaults have taken place behind these walls, but it only mentions inmate on inmate cases, not staff on inmates. Activist L.A. Pink says she wants Labatt and other county leaders to make good on their promises.
This is just not a call of action for Sheriff Labatt. This is a call of action for Fonnie Willis as well. Do your job.
Though there isn't a timeline for corrections, these families are watching the clock. And Sheriff Labatt also says that there are 109 remedial opportunities that he plans to tackle at the jail. And Chairman Rob Pitts says that he plans to address the issues at the 9 out of 11 housing units by the end of the year. Live in Atlanta, Teresa Bowles, 11 Alive News.
Yeah, a lot of work needs to be done. Teresa, thank you so much for bringing that to us. And Labatt says that he's already decreased the amount of inmates sleeping on the floor, released 1,400 nonviolent offenders, and will continue to work on hiring and retaining staff.
Basically, it's like parchment. Is it parchment? I think that one in Mississippi. Was it Mississippi? Where like the inmates got a phone into the facility, and they recorded how the toilets was broken, how there was sewage water all over the floors, how that there was a lot of attacks happening, fires, all sorts of stuff. I think it was during the thingy as well. So this is not new, what is spoken about here, right? So whether they will rectify it or fix it, I mean, like they say a lot of promises and a lot of this and a lot of that and a lot of this. They do it for political reasons, as we know from Osiris, etc., etc., etc. And then nothing changes. It's the same thing, like I said, I would even refer to here and Belmarsh and certain places where like there were riots and stuff over here so that things could get changed. And mega prisons, I know, is very crazy, mega prisons and all that sort of stuff. If you have done research, done stuff, watched the programs, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. The mega prisons are the worst because there's so many people inside of that mega prison, and the staff probably ain't keeping on top of it. I always think of Oz. If you watch Oz, where they try to do whatever, like a little community thing or whatever, and it turns tits up, it always goes west. So even with that, I could not imagine how bad it is for people in there, right? Where there's attacks and all that. And the fact that they said that how right they're not listing the fact that a guard is with a inmate, they don't count that as something. They should count that as something too. You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy. It's just one of those ones you're thinking to yourself, like, what? Like, man, like somebody you know is going in there and then they come out in a box. It just ain't cool. It ain't good at all. Now, the fentanyl thing, what happened with the CEOs, that was crazy. I mean, when I saw that, I said, that's so crazy. I can't remember whether they got the CEOs. You had to remind me, because I remember when I watched it. Let me see if I can find it actually. Where the CEOs was where they did hold on, let me see. Let me see if I could find it. I'm sure I'm not gonna find it, but I'm gonna find it. Is it this one? I bet it's not this one. I ain't gonna be able to find it right now. But yeah, the fentanyl thing was crazy. I'm just like, wow. And of course, guards will get down with the get down. We know this because this happened in a lot of places. Apparently, I don't even know. I can't even list half of them. Even over here, that happened with a prison guard and an inmate over here. So, but they're not counting that as anything, which that's just weird to me. But yeah, but I don't know whether they're gonna get together. If they do get together, good. If they don't, I don't know. It's just the regular digger. They're just saying things for the sake of saying things. Like everybody and a politician and whoever, that's what they do. They say the thing at the right time to get people to think that how right, yeah, they're all in, they're gonna make changes and all that stuff. When in fact they don't. So yeah. So those, I think, are the three things that uncovers so far. Am I going to add that other thing? I don't know. I might not add this into the box here because, like, these things are very severe things that is going on. Doesn't matter where you're, America or in the UK, across the pond, as everybody says, it is very, very crazy how rights of people can easily be taken because like you are seen as subhuman, you are seen as not unimportant, you are seen as or put in as a cage animal and all that. So I don't know. I'm just going to leave it at that because I just thought I'd just bring these variety of stuff. It's all sad. I think Jordan Neely's the saddest one there. The jail one is very crazy, especially when it's got young 17, 16-year-olds in a prison with men who's doing life sentences. That means the man have nothing to lose. He will honor live your whoever. I want to say your family. I'm not going to put people in a book. He will honor live a person without a blink. You know what I'm saying? They will have no scrupulous over anything. And it's not, I mean, like they say, when you do the crime, you do the time. But when you're in like that situation, and that's why some of these prisons get closed down and all that stuff, or they get moved, or they go to worse situations because, like, you know, mind-boggling. That's what I can say. Mind-boggling. But thank you for coming through, and I also appreciate the birthday blessings yesterday, and that was, I really appreciate it, and I hope you all have a great day. And let me see who's come through here. Brown Sugar, Fundi Fee, Shadow, Passion Lisa, Mind's Eye, and So Amma. So thank you all. I appreciate you all, and hopefully, like, I'll expand on a couple things. But because I promised that I will come and do a live, because yesterday I was meant to do a live, and then I didn't do it because it was my birthday, basically. And yeah, and I thought I'd just give it a break for the day and that, and I thought, because I had a lot, I have a few more stuff to talk about, but in time I will just go through and, you know what I mean, just please comment underneath these videos, tell me what you think of each and every one of them. Okay, every one of them, whether you is a blue collar, whatever, tell me, just tell me, comment, and then, like, I don't even know what I was going to say then, so we can talk in the comment section. Comment section is always the greatest part, and let's, you know, but thank you for coming through, and I'll see you in the next live. Take care, have a good day. Please be safe out there, because I know what's happened in America is a change. Whether that change is for the good, the bad, or whatever, all I know is that person that you lot put in the power, you lot better watch, you know. But anyway, it's not for me to say. There's a person over here who wants to follow his lead too. So, so with that said, please be safe wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Take care of yourself. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you in the next one. Yeah, I'll see you in the next one. I'll let you know when I'm going live in these spaces. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, so I'll see you then. Yeah. So with that, take care. Bye. Hold on, let me do this one before I forget. I always do it wrong. Hold on. You're gonna hear me buckling on here now.